Have you wondered what it's like to work with Robin? Have you pondered the transformation that happens when you live a life that is truly free and clear? Have you envisioned the results? Well, I'm Amber, and come with me today because we're going to speak to some of her clients, and they'll take you on a journey from doubt, scarcity, fear, into finally breaking those patterns and truly thriving. So let's go. Hi, so I am back with one of Robin's clients, Sarahjane, and we're going to talk to her a little bit about her experiences with Robin and free and clear connections. So hey, Sarahjane, how you doing?
Hi, Amber. I'm doing amazing. Thank you.
Awesome. So thanks so much for taking some time to talk to me. Appreciate
Thrilled.
it. Can you take me back before you met Robin? What was your life like? Just paint me a picture if you could.
I would say I was lost. And my anxiety and my depression kind of mixed together had led me to a place where I was always seeking. And I give myself a lot of credit because I was always trying to seek the practices that would bring me relief from that anxiety and depression. And Robin and I met actually because we both did the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza. And so we met through that connection. And Robin told me about the work that she was doing and offered to be my guide. And, you know, from the first time that we worked together, when Robin worked on me, actually it was remotely, so we weren't even in the same room. We hadn't even honestly met in what we call 3D reality yet. Robin impacted my life in such a profound way. I definitely felt the vibrations. I don't really know what you would call it, and I'm going to hesitate to put a word to it, but
Okay.
I definitely felt an immediate sort of release after that first remote event, and I definitely felt the anxiety decrease. And then from there, we developed a relationship where I did go down and visit with her in real, quote unquote, real life and had, you know, more experiences. But the initial meeting was all done remotely, which is pretty amazing if you think about it.
Oh, wow. Okay. So prior to meeting Robin, you had meditated, obviously, right?
I did have all the things.
All the things. You tried all the lotions, potions, you tried all the tips
I
and
did
tricks,
it all,
everything.
did it all. And I had a lot of success and a lot of times where, you know, that anxiety had dissipated, but it always came back.
Okay.
And you know, it's never going to go away completely because this is, I call it our earth suit. This is what we're here. This is what we deal with. But yes, but I had done all of the things.
Was your anxiety like recurring thoughts? Like what kind of anxiety did you have?
I would say a lot of it was a lot of recurring thoughts and emotions. Just more of though a sense that just something was missing, that I knew that there was supposed to be more to life and that we are more than just human beings having spiritual experiences. We're spiritual beings having human experiences. But I didn't say that, but somebody else.
That's wonderful.
Right. But it's sort of this sort of esoteric point in your life when you realize you can have all of the things that money can buy and still not be happy. And that's kind of where my anxiety was stemming from at a certain point.
So
and
you
that's kind of where
always
Robin
felt that something was missing, like your whole life?
No, earlier in life, it was anxiety, because more situational type things. So they call it generalized anxiety disorder. But as time moved on, and as I think I got deeper into my spiritual practices, the anxiety sort of was stemming from the understanding that we are more than our bodies. But we live in this world where we're walking around and most people, well, not most people, but there are so many people from outward appearances who are on that hamster wheel. So you can feel lost. And Robin, to be honest with you, I had an experience where I was actually hospitalized for, now we know it was bipolar 1, but I was misdiagnosed and wasn't given that diagnosis. But I had gotten out of the hospital, gone to Dr. Joe, had the significant event, you know, wonderful event at the Dr. Joe Dispenza retreat, came home, wasn't getting enough sleep, which is part of a bipolar diagnosis. You're supposed to sleep, wasn't getting enough sleep. A bunch of other things were happening. And I mean, people who are going to be watching these interviews know that when you're close to what I call the other side, you're getting downloads from that realm, that invisible realm that we can't see with our eyes, but that exists beyond space and time. Robin actually was the first person that didn't make me feel like I was crazy. And she held space for me. This was a year before she did any work on me whatsoever. I got her phone number from somebody in the Dr. Joe work, and she spoke to me on the phone time and time again, just as a friend. And she made me feel Like I wasn't, like there was nothing wrong with me. No, I know that, but it's wonderful. That's the kind of person she is. And that was a full year before we did the experience that I started the interview talking to you about. So we go way back.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah, that was the summer of 2021 when I met Robin. Yeah.
Okay.
And then when I started doing the remote and doing the reconnection, it was actually October, November, December of what was last year? 2022 into 23. And now we've come again another year and I'm back. And I actually had a second episode where I was in a facility for 9 days. And that was when I got finally correctly diagnosed. But I don't think any of that, well, I can't say for sure. I do think going to Robin regularly, getting the reconnective healings in person and getting the reconnection got me to, and I don't know if that's what we're calling it with this, but got me to a place where I was confronted with choices in my life that before that I would not have been confronted with. Her ability to open up these channels through my body in whatever way that she does that I can't think to understand because that's not what my soul is here to express itself. But I've gotten the benefit of that. You know, I have other things. But Robin was able to open up whatever these channels are so that I could do this work on myself and be able to be in a place where I wasn't so mired in the anxiety and the sadness that I couldn't be mobilized. I think she opened up those channels within me and all around me. And for that, I am really, really just so grateful to her.
Yeah. So you felt lost in your words, and it sounds like you felt like buried, like just underneath all of it.
Totally. And looking back now, because it was November, the end of November that I was diagnosed with bipolar 1, I had an incorrect diagnosis. So when you have that, it was no wonder. I mean, I feel like I was drowning with the copy of like, you know, all the spiritual books in my hands. Like, you know, you have to give me credit. I was looking to help. I wasn't self-medicating with drugs or alcohol. I wasn't shopping excessively. But I was using spirituality and spiritual practices, which Robin reminded me of. And sometimes I wanted to, you know, just kidding. But she was right. I was using them as a way to cope, and you can't blame me. But I had to get back to myself. I had to realize that we are all one. We are all going back to source, you know, which is what Robin is one of many spiritual teachers. They're all here to remind us of really the same thing. Robin's way of doing it is unique to her, and it's what makes her special. And it resonated with me in a time in my life when I really needed it. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to come back to that because I want to know what you think is unique about her way.
Yeah.
But so let's talk about relationships a little bit.
Sure.
Because you mentioned that a little bit earlier. So you have children, yes?
I do. I have 4 children.
You have 4 children, boys, girls?
I have 2 of each. My girls are 19 and 17, and the boys are 14 and just turned 10.
Oh gosh, lots of different ages there, lots of different needs,
big
I
span,
guess, right?
Yeah, big span. And they all have mental health challenges across the board, which I think is part of what my job is right now, is just to be present for them as they navigate their own mental health challenges.
Okay, so when you were going through your transition and you were searching for answers for yourself, you were searching for your children as well.
Exactly. Okay. And my husband and I luckily are in a position where we can afford to get them the help, mental health, you know, therapies that they need, because our, you know, as we know, our mental health system is not great.
Absolutely.
But we are in a unique position that we can do that.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
How did your work with Robin affect your children?
I think of course it did. It absolutely did. I mean, the only person you can work on, the only person you should be working on is yourself. When I tried to hyper fixate and to micromanage or whatever, you know, helicopter parent, all that, that's going to backfire. I clearly had a lot of work to do on myself. The more I focused on myself with Robin's help, the more my children were able to grow into their own and to heal on their own. Because in healing yourself, you're going to naturally bring others along to that. That doesn't mean you do nothing. I mean, there's this misconception that if you're not hypervigilant with your kids, that you're not actually doing anything. That's not true. But when you work on yourself, that gives you that pause in between the stimulus and the response, that pause to not react. And in my case, because I wanted things done right away, because I wanted things to get better, I was always trying to jump in and fix, okay? But by taking the time to slow down, by doing the practices that Robin, helped me, and other spiritual teachers, but particularly during that time, Robin, and some other things that she did along the way, that gave that time in the middle where that sort of, that salve, that balm for the soul could happen for me. And then if there was a response to be made, I would make it, but I would not be coming from a place of fear. I'd be coming from a place of love. And we all know that in life, there's only two choices, love or fear. And everything in our life comes from one of those choices.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm going to forget that tomorrow, but for right now, I'm remembering. And that's really what it was. In addition, unbeknownst to my daughter, Robin had done some reconnective healings on my daughter just by looking at her picture. And my daughter was at a place with her mental challenge where she had to make some difficult decisions about getting treatment. And she was a teenager, so a lot of it had to come from her. Even though she was young, we couldn't force her at this point. So I cannot prove that Robin doing what she did in terms of her healing process caused my daughter to make these choices, because she can't answer that.
Sure,
she's not here. But I do believe that it is my understanding and is my belief that Robin had a lot to do with that. And then, of course, she continued to work on my daughter, unbeknownst to her, when my daughter was going through the treatment, and the treatment lasted a lot less than we would have expected. Again, can't say for sure, but it certainly, certainly is a high possibility.
And you think, so not only her working remotely on your daughter, but you working on yourself with Robin as well.
Of course. I think it impacted my entire family. I think it impacted my relationship with my husband, with my kids, because when we're trying to fix or change other people, we're always going to be left unsatisfied. I mean, now every once in a while, someone might do what you want, but then they're going to change the next day, and it's not going to be a lasting change. So when we realize that we really only have the ability to work on ourselves, it really gives us that freedom. When you think about somebody like Viktor Frankl, who wrote Man's Search for Meaning, who was in in Auschwitz, and why did he live when so many others? And he said, because he knew he had that choice. The only thing he could control is his reaction to himself. And and honestly, if I look at my life and all of the blessings that I've been given, I certainly can take that time and take that breath. And I think
is there a little bit of he can do it, you can do it kind of bit?
Absolutely.
I mean, the book, it's dense.
It's dense, and it's heart wrenching, and it's
heavy.
All of these people who Edith Edgar, who's one of the last remaining Holocaust survivors. She's a psychologist who was a very similar experience and became a psychotherapist. Was the same idea. It was that idea of going within, and I mean, this is what through all of human conception, nobody's saying anything new. It's just they're all saying it in a way that hopefully will appeal to the person sitting in front of them. Because when you really start seeking and when you really start doing this work in earnest, the teachers that come into your life come at just the right moment. And I believe that Robin came into my life serendipitously at just the right moment to bring me further. And actually, we joke about it because we have this connection to the Wizard of Oz. So if we talk about like the Yellow Brick Road, ironically, all the paths lead back home. And Dorothy never actually needed to leave. And, Robin was there. We never actually left. And interestingly, we're right back where we started. And she's here in my house today. And, my daughter is struggling again in a very big way, and it's been tumultuous over the past 2 weeks, and it's been heart-wrenching. But there have been times in the past 2 weeks where different things have come up and different things have been said by therapists, by teachers, by books, by moments that I said to myself, oh yeah, this is exactly what's supposed to be happening right now. And I believe without a shadow of a doubt that Robin Sanet was supposed to enter my life and impact me the way that she did. And I'm just, again, I'm grateful to have the opportunity to continue to work with her.
Yeah, I feel like she kind of helped you see the space. Like, is that what it is? Like, you think your family needed some space and you needed some space too.
Yes.
And she taught you to heal yourself. I don't mean to put words in your
mouth. No, you're not.
It sounds like,
no, right? but it's not healing myself. It is, but it's through source. It's through something that we don't understand. It's through, some people call it God. I like to call it the divine, God, love, source energy. And it's not arrogant to say this because we all have this ability. So it's not empty space. I mean, it's funny because in the quantum field, everything is empty space, but it's this idea that we are the creators of our life. We've just forgotten. And, you know, Dr. Joe Dispenza is always saying, how many times are you going to remember not to forget? And I think Robin is one of those teachers that helps me remember not to forget over and over and over again. And she does it with love and kindness and a non-judgmental way about her, but also in a way that's holding me to the moment.
Holding you to task.
I was just going to say holding me to task, but I didn't want it to come off as sounding, the word task sounds, but holding me to my purpose because she knows that I can do this and that this is more important to me than anything. You know, I've said in the last 6 months, all I've ever wanted in this lifetime is to wake up. And I think that I have. And I think I owe a lot of, and I'm not going to say I'm going to forget again, but I think I've woken up more than I thought I ever could. And I think Robin is one of the teachers that has really guided me there. And, you know, that's the purpose of a teacher. The teacher is to remind you of who you really are. The teacher is not to stand on a pedestal. And Robin doesn't do that. And she never has. She never will. And that's also very, very important because sometimes teachers, their ego can get in the way and then things can get very uncomfortable. And I've never found that with Robin. No.
So the purpose of the teacher is to teach the student.
Or to teach the student that the student doesn't actually need to learn anything. The student already knows everything that she needs. And she already has. That's what the Scarecrow asked Glenda. Why didn't you just tell her that she had the power to go back to Kansas? And I don't know if you remember what
vaguely.
Well,
tell me.
Glenda said she wouldn't have believed me. She had to have figured it out for herself. Okay, so so that's the purpose, and all of the great authors and sages and mystics all knew this. They all knew it's a big secret, and I always said it was a secret, and I wanted to figure out the secret. But the secret is you have to figure it out for yourself, okay? And everybody figures it out a different way. So Robin is just one of those many glorious teachers that help remind us of who we really are.
Yeah. Why do you think it's such a small amount of people that understand that?
They call it the greatest secret for a reason. I think it's because our world, and I think our world is, on the one hand, getting more and more. I think it could go either way. I think on the one hand, our world with the likes and the social media and the politics, wherever you stand politically, it doesn't even matter. Just all of the chaos. I think you could look at it that way and say we are headed for ultimate disaster. But then I look, when I go, my experience is going on these Dr. Joe retreats and looking at the hundreds of young people under the age of 20 who are there and who are committed to change in the world and leading with love. And I say, it's going to go the other way too. I think we're at a crossroads. I think because, the secret is we are eternal beings having a human experience. We can't escape what, this is going to sound woo-woo, but clearly this is going to the woo-woo population. Like, we're not going to die. We're energy. We're going to return to energy. We can't escape from this hamster wheel. So if we don't learn it now, we're going to learn it at some other time. So I guess your question was, why do so few people know? I think more and more people are knowing. And I think we need, and we have more and more people like Robin who are coming into our lives to help us remember. We can choose to ignore them. We can run away. We can divert. We can get on our phones. We can, buy another throw pillow. I bought throw pillows for years and I still love my house. It's beautiful, right? But my life doesn't, that's not where I'm placing all of my attention right now. I'm, and it's a lonely road. I was upstairs crying to Robin earlier because you do forget and you do get mired in the, whatever your 3D reality is that you're carrying. And for me, it can be even with the medicine I'm taking for bipolar, I can have my moments of feeling down. I can have my moments of missing the highs, to be honest with you.
Sure.
It's a lot. But I returned to the fact that all I wanted in this lifetime was to wake up. And if that's truly what I want, and if the only thing I do in my lifetime is help my kids, I think that'll be enough.
Yeah, it is.
I think that will be enough.
Yeah.
And my dog. even
and your
my
dog. Of course.
No, but and my husband.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
But you're doing the work. You're doing it.
I'm doing it.
You're doing it.
I'm doing it.
And you're guided.
Yeah.
You know, by her, and you're doing a great job.
Yeah, and Robin
you're doing
is
a great job.
Yeah, thank you.
You really are. I mean, you're
thank you.
Even just the fact that you're doing the work at all, that you're even just aware enough to know.
I love it. I love the work. There's nothing I love more than this work. It's what I'm passionate about. And and I think that's what drew me to Robin, and the fact that she was, I was really lost when I got back from that first retreat and then got back from the hospital. And the fact that Robin did not dismiss what had happened to me, I think that, I go back to that and I kind of forget that part of our relationship because it was a long time before she did any of her work on me. And I also think that speaks to who she is as a person, that she didn't push what she was doing on me. She was just my friend for a long time. So that says a lot.
It does. It really does.
It does say a lot to her character. And for anyone interested in working with Robin, I think that that's something that you should know.
Yeah. You said something about she has a unique way. What do you think separates Free and Clear Connections from other things that you've tried in finding that solution, which we all know is within us?
Right.
But
I think the one-on-one support, there's something to be said. A lot of the great spiritual teachers, because Robin's written a book, which I've read and meant a lot to me. I don't think she goes above and beyond in her coaching sessions where she works with you one-on-one. And I think sometimes you can get coaches that work with you one-on-one, but they're not necessarily authors. And I think you can have authors that can't work with you one-on-one. I think that idea of someone like Robin who has, proven herself as a published author and proven herself as someone who has taken, I don't want to say the next level, but you know what I'm trying to get at with that.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, and I think the fact that she doesn't just do the sessions, she's also following up with as much coaching as, I don't know if that's the term Robin uses. Excuse me,
That's okay.
I don't know if that's the term that she uses, but yeah, I think that part of it is a real, something that separates her from other energy healers. That you go, you lay on the table, you get your work, maybe you talk a little bit, and then you're done.
And you're on your own.
And you're on your own. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying I think that's what separates Robin. And in terms of for me personally, with working with her, that made a huge, huge difference. Knowing that I could speak with her, outside of our time together, was huge. That was a huge game changer.
Yeah. And you almost had Robin in your pocket with the book, right? Because
Totally.
it's her words. So
absolutely.
And did it feel like a workbook to go along with the work that she was doing?
Yep. And a workbook that was very honest and was very true to her and her experience at the time. Not someone who was standing on a pedestal preaching, but someone who had been in the trenches, understood what it was like, and got out of it. And that's inspirational.
Yeah. Did you do the exercises in the book?
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
How was that for you?
I think everything helps. Yes, I think it helped. It was a while ago, so I would have to go back and look. But yeah, I think everything that you can do when you really throw yourself into it like that is just going to put you that much ahead in terms of your spiritual development.
Yeah. You spoke a little bit about how it gave you space to kind of respond rather than jumping to the reactions.
Right.
Do you think what other changes have you noticed in your behavior or the way you think or just maybe the way you interact with other people?
Yeah, I think a part of it is realizing that, one of the things Robin said today is it can be a lonely road. You don't, but that's okay. One of the things I've learned is to be silent, is to not jump to fill the space, if we want to talk about space, to be okay with the way things are. And again, by being okay in the moment, that doesn't necessarily mean things are going to stay there. But I think having that, I don't know if I'm answering your question or not, but taking that time to really, for me personally, I'm someone who, I come from a long line of talkers, big family of talkers, and there's nothing wrong with that, but there can be at a certain point. I mean, sometimes you just need to sit and wait for that still silent voice of God, spirit, source. And I think that Robin has encouraged me to do that. She has to keep encouraging me to do it because it's not something that's my nature to do. But I think that's been her greatest gift to me. And I've noticed that just with her as well, that she and I, because part of the spiritual journey is teaching one another. And I've noticed that with her, that she too has allowed for that time to, because she's a very, she's a very vivacious just dynamic dynamo. But she has allowed herself to do the same kind of work. And I've seen that just because now it's been about 3 years. And I think that's been transformational for both of us.
And you've been able to see how that's affected your relationships and how it's affected
yes, it's definitely
even your daily life.
It's impacted my daily life. It's made me be more not selective in my friendships. Like I've suddenly put myself above other people. It's not like that. But I've realized that another Dr. Joe saying is where you place your attention is where you place your energy. I was putting my attention on people, places, things, and situations that no longer served me. That I got from the retreats and the books, but it was Robin who helped me put that into practice. And she helped me see in a kind and loving way that these things were no longer serving me. So things had to drop away, and then that enabled me to hear things that I wouldn't have heard otherwise.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost you got your self-confidence back because you have to be confident enough to say, that's not serving me.
Correct.
Right? It's a little bit like you're grasping at someone else or something else.
Exactly.
To get that feeling, and then you're like, I'm okay on my own. I feel confident enough.
Right, and it's not even alone. It's because you're with the divine. So it's not. It's actually it's the opposite of alone. It's the ultimate connection when you think about it. It's just not the connection that the world deems to be, Right. It's not the connection of the world. It's the connection of our hearts. So she helped me to drop from my head to my heart. And that's really, an amazing thing to be able to say.
Yeah. Wow. Your experience has been so wonderful. Oh my
gosh.
It
really has.
Really
and it will continue
it
will continue to be because Robin and I are going to be together for a long time. I don't know how it's going to look as the years unfold, but it'll be a friendship it'll always be a friendship first because that's how it started for us. And I'm just, as I said, eternally grateful to her and for her love and support and for the methods that she's using to bring joy to the world.
And the fact that she does a remote is so helpful.
For me, it's a game changer because it is long, but when you understand, which both of us do because we've done coherence healing, when we understand that space-time, you don't need to be in the same room, it's so unbelievable. It really is.
Yeah. And you've had experiences from your remote healings.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And I've done them, when I was away at these retreats, not Robin's retreats, but then of course through Robin's remotes. Absolutely. Yep.
And you saw the same effects basically.
Absolutely.
As even when you were on hands-on.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
And it's also less because when you're not, because she's far, it's almost a 2-hour drive. So like knowing that you can do it from the comfort of your own home is comforting in and of itself. And again, having Robin there speaking to you throughout, not during obviously, but before and after, it brings the experience to life in a way that it wouldn't be if it was someone that wasn't taking that extra time that we had talked about earlier to make it interactive.
So how does it work? So she calls you first?
Yep, she calls first.
So you set an appointment, obviously.
Yeah, the way that we did it, it's been a while, is that she calls first, we set up a time, we talk about, whatever, it may or may not have anything to do with whatever. And then she lets me know when she's starting and I just lie down and receive. And then when it's over, we may or may not, depending on the time of day, check in or do the next morning if it's in the evening.
Okay. So it's just like a normal appointment. It's just over the phone.
It's done. Yep.
And remotely.
Exactly.
It's so convenient.
It's
you can do it anywhere.
Super convenient. Yeah, you can.
Great.
Yeah, which is a mother of 4.
You could be laying on a beach in Tahiti. Oh, yeah, and that too.
But as a mother of 4, you can do it, when the kids go to sleep or when the kids are at school or if it's a quiet moment. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's so nice. What are 3 words that you would use to describe your experience with free and clear connections and why?
I would say transformational because it took my life from, as I have explained, a lot of with the anxiety and the overwhelming sadness to these moments of really feeling a sense of clarity. So transformational, profound, because of the insights that I've gleaned from the work that I've done with Robin, the insights just into my life and to probably a lot of the patterns of behavior and just the years of trauma. And we have a lifetime of trauma stored up in us that we don't even know, nor do we necessarily need to. And that would lead me, I guess, to my last word, clearing. Because through Robin's work, a lot of these layers upon layers of trauma that you don't even necessarily, and frankly, you don't necessarily even need to know, get to be lifted through Robin's work. A lot of them you do need to work through, but some of them you don't. So those would be my 3 words.
And clearing and allowing a path to
Clear,
receive.
yes, a path to open to receive. Or to receive, but also to to take out what is no longer, what's the word I'm looking for? To release. Release and receive. To release what no longer serves and to receive what will come in, but only when you can release what no longer serves. Yeah, the releasing so that the receiving, I think, is the ultimate in what Robin is bringing to the world.
You're releasing, you're letting go.
Letting go of.
That's something I'm working on too, that letting go is.
I think
tough.
we all are.
It's
a lifetime. And the older we get, the more we push it down, the more it just comes out sideways, you know, whereas, and that's really what this is doing. It's a lot, you know, you can do it through therapy, but it's a lot, you know, and this isn't to say there isn't a place for therapy, but Robin's work is doing it in a way that a lot of times you don't even necessarily need to talk about it. You can release what no longer serves to receive what's going to bring you to the next highest version of yourself.
And it's a reflective therapy. So you're seeing others as a mirror of yourself.
Correct. And that can be challenging at times. But once you realize that, it's also freeing. Because if you're a mirror to the parts of myself that maybe I don't necessarily want to look at, that gives me the freedom to look at it and say, okay, what do I have to learn here? You know, and again, it may not be apparent right away. And that's where the idea of taking that time between the stimulus and the response and going within and saying, okay, I don't need to know right now what this person is mirroring in me. I just need to know that they are, and I don't need to, and therefore I'm not going to write that email, and I'm not going to go in my room and pound my fist, whatever. I'm just going to be right now. And then, you know, I feel like I'm getting a lot out of this conversation with you.
Yeah, no, it's great. I appreciate it. Yeah. As a busy mom of 4, I mean, how many people can also relate to that, right? You must have soccer games, and I don't know what the kids are into.
Theater,
but I mean,
sports, the mental health. One of my daughters is in college. So
my gosh, you've got it all over the place.
I do.
I feel like moms specifically often look for something to kind of calm them, right?
Yes.
Is that would you say?
Yeah.
You know, mommy juice, the bottle, that was a Freudian slip, a glass of wine at the end of the day, you know, that kind of thing. Like that's become more the norm for society.
Correct.
And I think moms specifically often, it must be easy to lose yourself in your family.
It totally is. And I think at a certain point, at a certain age, especially for myself, because I'm coming up on being a mom for 20, my oldest is 20, my youngest is 10. There's an age gap there. Yeah. So for the last almost 20 years, being a mom has been my full-time job. I mean, I've worked part-time, but nothing, you know, totally. I call myself a student of spirituality. You know, I don't know what that's going to look like. I've been doing a lot of writing, but I don't know. And yeah, there are days when I say to myself, my purpose, but I think my purpose will be revealed if I can sit in those spaces that sometimes are uncomfortable.
Right.
You know, and as a mom, you do. You give and give and give. And that's why getting back to something you said earlier, knowing you can only work on yourself is freeing.
So we were talking about, you know, being a busy mom of 4, and we were talking about, you know, I always see that society, and, you know, you read the mommy blogs and stuff, it's just, we were talking about women as a whole are kind of looking for that solution, right? And just kind of grasping at things.
Grasping at strategies, at different, There are a million books, there are a million different, I have friends actually now of my daughter, my oldest daughter, I have friends who it's their last child and who are grappling with, what do I do now? That, you know, and that a lot of them are coming to me, interestingly, saying, I want to get into mental health. I want to get involved with self-help. And I'm actually been leading them to some of these practices, which has been great.
Wonderful.
It is, it can be wonderful. But I think there is. I think there's a lot of people who are searching. Like we went back, we said that earlier. Like you eventually at your life, if you live long enough, you get to the point where you realize, hopefully, that outside things are not going to bring you lasting happiness. You know, that the material possessions are not, you know.
The throw pillows, as you said.
The throw pillows,
I love that analogy, though, because if you think about the throw pillow, is it essential to what it's not really? It's made
lovely.
Decoration.
Well, what it is if those things, it's not like you have to become a monk and give up the trappings of a life and go live in a monastery. But if you're attached to them, I think it was Wayne Dyer who said, be open to everything and attached to nothing. You know, you can have these things, but if they own you or you're too attached to them, then you're not going to, not going to,
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know if that answered your question.
No, it does. It absolutely does. Yeah. if you could do me a favor,
Sure.
can you look into the camera?
Sure.
And speak to someone who is thinking about working with free and clear connections.
Okay. If you are thinking about trying free and clear connections, I would definitely not hesitate. My work with Robin has helped me identify areas of my life that have been trigger points for me. For me, it was anxiety and depression. She helped me in a calm, peaceful, and loving way to release what no longer served me, to make room to receive the gifts of my soul. So without a doubt or hesitation, I would definitely recommend working with Robin.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, this was a great conversation.
Thank you so much. I loved it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thanks so much, and check out more at freeandclearconnections.com. Well, as you've heard, working with Robin is truly transformational, and we can't wait until you begin your journey into a life that's truly free and clear. So come join us at freeandclearconnections.com.